What's up? My name is Chris. Hi. I am from the Mount Pleasant campus. Saving the best for last. Oh, wow. Before I get started, I do want to tell you a little bit about me. I love magic, I wear Heelys, and I love Disney movies. One of my personal favorites is Mulan. What's that one quote Mushu says? Dishonor. Dishonor on you, dishonor on your family, dishonor on your cow. But my all-time favorite Disney movie has got to be The Lion King. It is... Y'all are pumped. Y'all are like energetic. I love it. And I was watching it the other day, and one thing I immediately noticed, it's very deep when you get down to it. One of the scenes is between Simba and Mufasa, and I'm gonna do some impressions for you guys. You can tell which one's Mufasa. Don't worry. Father, Simba, you've forgotten me. No, how could I? You have forgotten who you are, and therefore you've forgotten me. Look inside yourself. You are more than who you make yourself to be. But how can I take my place? I'm not who I used to be. Remember who you are. You are my son. See, as I was reading this, I really felt God speaking to me. See, in this culture, we can really forget who we are sometimes, and we can get caught up with what culture deems okay, but we try to hide ourselves in what culture deems okay. And this morning, and I know it is not a coincidence, I was in a small group with some of my small group friends, and I wouldn't say randomly picked a verse, but there was very little thought put into it. We were like, let's start reading in Romans, and we picked Romans 12, and the verse could not have matched this Lion King scene any better. Let me read it for you. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." See, two things jump out to me. Don't conform. Be a renegade. Totally jump out and desert what culture has for us and come to what God has for us in his holy and good plan. Also, transformed in your mind, I got a feeling that it's not just morals, it's not just one specific thing. It's a wholehearted change. And it's a internal and external change. It's something that really, I started feeling myself come back through this. Back in 8th grade, 9th grade, I would try to, that fine line between being socially accepted, but then also standing out. Like, you are popular, but not so popular because of any special thing. I wanted to be right there. I wanted to be popular, but not popular, if that makes sense. And I would try to find ways to do this. I would try to find ways to totally become known, but it got harder and harder as I tried. And at one point, I just totally snapped, and I went blank for a good half a year. And it was around this time I joined a basketball team. I wouldn't cheer for that because I'm not a physical person. It was actually my parents' ideas, but whatever. I grudgingly accepted, and I was like, okay, let's do this. First practice in, I was winded, I almost passed out. I'm not kidding. Anyway, but through the 3 months of basketball practice, I began getting closer to my team and closer to who God has put me around in. I felt a sense of friendship, and I was like, you know what? Let's start being me. Let's start not being what society has challenged me to be. And so I started at Seacoast very soon after. That's when I started a new small group. It started when I got into high school, and I met new friends, and I started being me. I didn't put any pizzazz on it. I was just, hey, this is me. What's up? And they were like, okay, cool. We like you. You're in our group. I'm like, really? Okay, cool. I'm weird, but that's fine. I don't care. So I'm in this group, and I'm like, no, wait a second, maybe I could take this over to school. And so I took it to school, and they looked at me and like, yeah, you're cool. We always thought you were. What? Always? Really? Okay. So I got this sense of belonging and actually fitting in, and just totally being content with myself. And that's when the enemy started hitting even harder. See, he used society and like progressing means of pressuring me into things I didn't want to be a part of, and I tried my darndest to not fall into temptation, but I did eventually, and it got harder and harder. Judgment came from places I didn't even realize. And one thing I want to explain real quick, I go to a Christian private school, and once a week we have what's called chapel, and it's like a mini custom service, not as good, but so, and I sing in this service, and one time we were doing an all-worship chapel, and I was getting so into worship, and I was getting so into God and what He had for me. I wanted to get on my knees, but then something in the back of the head said, hey, people are going to judge you if you get on your knees. Hey, people are going to look at you weird and start talking about you if you kneel on your knees to God. And I was fighting for a solid couple minutes, and the Holy Spirit kicked in. He was like, hey, what's up? Why are you having trouble? I'm like, well, I feel like I'm going to get judged. And he's like, why? And I said, well, people are going to talk. And he said, so? So. It's just a simple word, so. And it made me stop and think, so. And then he said something to me I'm never going to forget. Sometimes when you think people are going to look at you and judge you based on society's norms, you have to look at them in the eyes and say, so. You have to look at them and say, get a good look. This is what you are going to see. This is me. This is who I want to be. And ever since that day, I have felt free to totally be me and not what society has made me. So my challenge to you guys tonight is if you feel like people are going to judge you, if you feel like people are going to look down on you or talk about you in a negative way, I want you to say so. I want you to look at them and say, hey, this is me. Get used to it. So I'm sure I speak for all the renegades when I say thank you so much for letting us come and speak tonight. I want to pass the baton back over to John. What's up?
Give it up for everybody. Come on, you can do better than that. It took a lot of guts to get up here and to share their heart with you. Listen, say this.